Welcome to We Are Venomaniacs, the Venom Site's official podcast for all of your symbiote news, reviews, and point of views. My name is Orion, and I'm joined by my fellow co-hosts, Carlos,
Yo,
Tyler,
hey,
and Aaron.
What's up?
It's the 15th and penultimate week of our Absolute Carnage podcast series, in which we cover the event's latest comics and tie-ins. Today, we'll be reviewing Absolute Carnage, Captain Marvel #1, and the final chapter of the event series, Absolute Carnage #5. As mentioned in our last episode, we're also celebrating the end of Absolute Carnage with a giveaway. One of our live listeners on this episode will have a chance to win an Agent Venom Funko Pop, Ancient Venom Funko Pop, not an Agent Venom, guys, not Flash Thompson. This is based on the design by Ryan Stegman for the Ryan Stegman and Donny Cates series, as seen in Venom #1. So that's Venom with like the spirally eye and the red veins and everything. It's very cool looking. And this is the normal edition. This is not the glow-in-the-dark special, so you have that to look forward to. At some point during this episode, I will announce a special keyword that our live listeners will need to remember. At the end of our recording, we'll randomly select a live listener, and they must repeat that keyword to win the prize. So stay tuned to win. So let's go ahead and start with our discussion of... We're going to start with Captain Marvel first and save the best for last. So let's begin with Captain Marvel. This was one of those tie-ins along with the Weapon Plus tie-in that was kind of a last-minute addition and isn't on the official reading list from Marvel. So it's very interesting to see this kind of shoehorned in, but I think it was rather, it was a bit fun, and it was also a really nice callback to a time when Carol Danvers had actually bonded to the Venom symbiote, albeit shortly.
Yeah, this one you didn't have to have at all, but it's just nice to tie, like back onto that like a Siege thing, where. So when was Siege? That was at least like 06, 07 when she was still right when
it was 08 or something.
Yeah, right, but she was still like Miss Marvel at the time. But even then, that's still like a decade of like in the past. So like it was still nice to see that. I appreciated like the little like splash page of her Venom form, and then you had like a naked Matt
Gargan.
Naked Matt Gargan comes back.
Yeah, I'm surprised she remembered his name at the time when he was Venom, so that's pretty cool to see.
And I did appreciate that she tries to get the symbiote off her cat in the same way. She tries to just rip it off. Like, this isn't working. Like, it shouldn't have worked the first time either, Carol. But,
Carnage.
So then she gets bored by her cat, which is really cool.
Right into it.
Yeah. So I think this was kind of maybe because of the movie. Folks sort of like the Flurkin idea, and like having like a symbiote Flurkin is a pretty, it was a pretty cool idea.
Yeah.
I mean, So I was kind of unaware that it had like a pocket dimension, which is kind of neat. And then like Carnage rules that. I mean, it was pretty neat. Like the art was amazing. Like there was a lot of funny cat, faces, and there was a lot of good arts with like just like horror was like symbiote tentacles and then like Flurkin tentacles.
Oh god.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, like I was kind of like wondering where this like fight was going to go, because I thought Captain Marvel was going to probably easily just win this, but Carnage was able to manifest himself, and obviously he can't be killed in that area or that universe that Captain Marvel and Carnage, wherever they were.
Inside the cat. You can say it. You can say most of the issue took place inside a cat.
Inside a cat, yeah. But the cat's name wasn't Goose, right? It was a different name, correct?
Chewie. It's always been Chewie in the comics.
Chewie. Okay. So it wasn't.
And it's apparently a girl. I didn't know that either. So.
Yes. Yeah. But it was like an interesting fight. Like to me, it just seemed like a draw between the two. But In the end, Captain Marvel was able to save her cat from being taken over, and that's pretty much the issue. But it was decent. It was okay. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't dislike it. It was just kind of pointless, in my opinion. It was like, yeah, it's fine. I've had my own personal issues with how Carol's been treated by Marvel as of late. Like I really liked. I've actually read through the entire Brian Reed Miss Marvel run, and I really liked Carol in that. And so I feel like they've tried to make Carol like too relatable and too. I don't want to say heroic because that sounds weird, but they're trying to make her into like Marvel's Wonder Woman. That's not really Carol, and so but that's a whole other thing entirely. Yeah. But and I will say one thing I was disappointed in this issue that we didn't get to see the Carnageized Carol. Like we only saw it for like a partial panel, and we didn't get to see the full thing where she blasts it off.
Yeah, that's the problem because they based that variant that we got like a month ago.
Yeah, I did sort of think that.
But the thing was like I didn't see really the point in this issue because it's like how is Carnage gonna take the Codex from Carol when she's like very OP? It's like how are you gonna do that? He didn't even succeed in that either. So
and, to be fair, he took it from the Hulk, and the Hulk's stronger than Carol. So
yeah.
And also, I'll say, echoing your point that it is a rather pointless issue, but I think among the different pointless tie-ins for this event, this was probably one of the more enjoyable ones. And also, it's probably one of the ones where she actually shows up in the final Absolute Carnage issue, which we'll get to, even if it is for just one panel.
We'll get to that.
And I don't know where I'd rank this on like the actual issues, but I will say since I wasn't here last episode, I did actually really enjoy the Weapon Plus tie-in.
Yes, I love seeing all the Asian Venoms get killed off. Yes, it was great.
God damn it!
I mean,
of course they're gonna kill off.
My gosh, it was that was such a great episode. I mean, it was all the Eddie boys.
Yeah, man, it was great.
I definitely listened to it.
Totally.
You assholes.
Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, it was a pretty good issue, I think. Overall, definitely, I liked the callback to the Siege event. So it was nice that they remembered that and didn't have Donnie relegating Carol into the grave pit.
Yep.
Well, I mean, there's some fans out there who would like to see that anyway, right?
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we can finally move on to the big one. We're going to review Absolute Carnage number 5. And this one,
it's supposed grand finale.
It's grand finale. And I think it was met with some mixed reviews. I definitely have some mixed feelings about it. I would say overall, I liked it, but I do have issues.
Yeah, so we should just go ahead and say this now, or folks are listening or hear this later. We are hardcore Venom fans. We are more cynical than we are positive. So we can talk hours and hours. Well, I mean, we are, right? But we can take hours and hours discussing things we don't like, but I don't think we do enough fair on what we did like about it. So Indeed. We're probably going to get really negative about it, but just for me, I really enjoyed this entire arc, all the things we saw, all the friends we got to, discuss the things about, but
real Absolute Carnage was the friends we made along the way.
Exactly, right. But this last issue kind of fell flat to me, but I don't want to start off right now, so someone else want to go.
Okay, so, I'll start. So for me, the pacing for this issue was kind of it just seemed a little too quick for me.
I'll agree with that 100%. That was definitely my biggest issue.
Because I was expecting a really good fight scene between Eddie and Cletus in space. And, they're just duking it out, trying, Eddie stopping Cletus from awakening Null. You got Spider-Man, with his hands full fending off against Norman Osborn Carnage. And I mean, like, where do I begin? I mean, the whole fight scene wasn't really that great. So spoiler alert, guys. Eddie kills Cletus. He's quote unquote dead, or he looks dead. But the way how it happened, it was just like Eddie literally just forged, to me it looked like all black, the Necro sword, and he just cut Cletus in half, and that was it. And I'm like, what? And then also too, like we saw Dylan using his full extent of his Codex powers, completely just shattering the leftover Carnage symbiote from Norman, or the Grendel symbiote, whatever it was. It's just, and then after that, the Grendel symbiote gets absorbed into into the Venom symbiote, and that pretty much caused Null to awaken and break out of the symbiote planet.
Yes, and there's sperm symbiotes floating everywhere.
It was rather questionable, that imagery.
But it's like, I was really disappointed with the whole fight scene, and I was expecting more in something more traumatic, or and now Null's free. And now what are they going to do? Because, again, we still have Venom number 20 coming out next Wednesday. And also, too, the Lethal Protector team came out. And, again, like Aaron stated, we only saw Scream for one panel. And she was, like, drawn so small. And I'm just like, well, why are they even there? It's like they're just fighting in one panel, and that's it. And you see Captain Marvel, she joins the battle. And also too, the other thing I want to bring up as well is that the Captain Marvel issue took place just before issue 5, and it didn't really feel like that to me, because like literally at the end of the comic, she's like fighting all the symbiote zombie Grendel symbiote possessed people,
The doppelgangers.
The doppelgangers, yeah. And I don't know, it just felt too rushed to me, Again, don't get me wrong. Like, Ryan Stegman, like, you did such a fantastic job with the artwork, and everybody else, but the pacing just could have used a little bit more work, in my opinion. That's how I feel. So.
Yeah, I think you're totally right.
I feel like having a beefy first issue kind of spoiled us a bit, I think.
It really did. It really, really did.
Yeah, I think it would have been better to either cut that issue in half and put the other half at the end of the series, so we have a nice long last issue, or at least kind of equalize the first 4 issues in length and then give us the beefy last issue, and that would have been much preferable, I believe. But
that first issue was just so good that I think they were always going to have a hard time doing just as good as that first issue.
Right. Then it makes me sort of question, what were they going to do if they just had 4 issues? Because this also didn't really feel like much of anything.
I have a better prediction for that.
Sure.
Because I think Immortal Hulk wasn't a big part of this before. I really don't.
Yeah.
I feel like that was thrown in as a last issue, big reveal, and it was like, oh, then we have an issue of them fighting, because you could have skipped out on the whole Immortal Hulk fight, and then it would have only been 4 issues.
Yeah.
And
so that's
right. So it seemed like they were doing that, because didn't what's the new book called, Incoming? Didn't they kind of allude to Null being connected to the one below all? So is that why they threw in Hulk, so they could tie in Null with that? Maybe.
No, I think that was just that. I think that was Bruce's ego getting the best of him and just thinking like, oh, this is connected to me. I don't think Null's all at all. But, we'll see.
Right. So let me say one thing that I did like. I love the opening 3 pages. The flashback to Rikers. I think that was Mark, right? That was
Mark.
Bagley,
right? That was Bagley.
Yeah. Right.
Those were really nice pages.
Right.
And because that's something like I'm guessing you loved, because it's a little piece of Venom's history we haven't seen before.
Right. And I love the panel of what is Cletus listening to? What's the music he's listening to?
Was it
Loyal Fans? What's he listening to? So what music is he listening to? Loyal Fans? What is it?
I think it's
It is
Depeche Mode.
Motley Crue. It's Motley Crue.
Motley
He says,
Crue.
"I need to hear my Motley Crue tapes."
Oh, that's
God,
right.
man, fake fans.
Damn.
Hashtag fake fans. But yeah. I mean that little like conversation I like, but it's like that didn't have really anything to do with the issue
Actually,
because
that's where
well, like you start to think.
I
So like
think
this is my main
it's
issue with the whole
thematic.
thing is that
It's thematic, I think.
yeah, sure, but from that I got the impression that they're going to focus on the relationship between Eddie and Cletus, but that didn't really happen. It was all about no, 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 no. And we didn't really have Carnage have his own little spotlight in this whole event. You know, he was just kind of there.
Now,
And I don't know.
Now, I think the those first 3 pages did serve a specific purpose, given Cletus's fate. We were given a glimpse, a rehash of the beginning of Eddie and Cletus's relationship, and now we have seen the end of it, or at least a end.
Yeah, the way how Cletus just died like that in like 3 short panels, it just felt really like a waste.
Well, I didn't entirely hate that, just because I thought it was kind of cool that Cletus was basically like, if I win, I win. If I lose, I win. Like, people are gonna be dying. I'm happy with that. I kind of like that. He just didn't care whether he died, and he just wants people to keep on dying. And so, I'm a little bit disappointed that he does seem to be dead. But I mean, it's comics. I'm sure he'll be back eventually somehow. But I will say, little nitpick annoyance. He had his legs. There were leg bones in there. Why are they there?
I still think he could just like grow those things back with his symbiote.
Oh no, maybe he took someone else's bones.
That's me.
Now I will say
that's the key to everything. It's not Cletus, it's somebody else. That's the key.
Now I did a bit of speculation before this podcast on how Cletus could possibly come back, and I think it's been hinted that there's going to be another big Venom event next year, and that's most likely going to be Null, because we now see he's free.
You don't say.
Where did you get that idea?
Where
did you get that idea?
Yeah, so I'm thinking, because Venom 2 is coming out next year, and it's going to be starring Carnage, they're going to have to bring Carnage back.
I mean, yeah, Carnage, and you're not going to kill off Carnage, but it's like, I hate that he's just a tool for Null, and it's like, oh, he'll be back when Null comes back.
Now,
why can't Carnage just be Carnage?
Now, here's my speculation. We see in this book that Norman Osborn no longer has the Carnage symbiote because Dylan destroyed it, but he also disappears, and we don't exactly know if he's completely free of his Cletus Cassidy persona. And we probably don't know if he's completely free of the Carnage Codex. Now, later on down the line, we might see, for this next event with Null pull out the Carnage Codex, and that would essentially also pull out the Cletus Cassidy personality, and maybe Null will, for Cletus's contributions to his awakening, resurrect Carnage.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I mean,
that is a possibility, and that does make some sense.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Null is just going to resurrect him, but I would rather him have like gotten away and said, "Ooh, hoo, ha, ha, hee, hee, I'm going to come back and do something else." I just don't like the idea of Cletus being dead, but okay.
I'm going to speculate for a second. I think Null's going to be a Thor event. I really do. Now that Donnie's taken it over, and with the talk of the Black Winter, and that Black Winter being mentioned in Silver Surfer, I really think that this is going to be a big Thor event instead of a Venom one. Like, Venom might appear in it, just like, all the heroes appeared in this, but I really don't think it's going to be a huge Venom thing.
Yeah, like it seems like he's trying to push this like among like all of his other works, like Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor and things like that. So and like what else like Thanos and then I don't know, like Silver Surfer. So it does seem it's going to be like another huge thing that like spans across the entire Marvel universe.
And then
Which,
also
I don't know.
Also too, I was gonna say and then eventually I think Donnie will probably touch upon that other character that appeared in Guardians, the guy who knows Null.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's put the Exelon.
He'll probably oh no, Null got free,
So like we get a new cool team that has Silver Surfer, Thor, and Venom on it. That'd be cool.
But I mean, we do have Donnie's last issue of Guardians coming up, and apparently that ties all of his work that he's done together. So
yeah. I don't know. I don't like that Cletus is dead, and I do like that there was more focus on Eddie and Cletus. But I can see why folks would be mad about their symbiotes, because when Eddie got his back, the only thing we heard from it was Eddie, wake up, not I'm sorry for doing all this crap. It was just Eddie, wake up, and then that's it. And then and then Dylan, he like Stranger Things 11, like one symbiote, right? He just kind of like
whatever was on Norman.
Yeah,
right. And we don't know, is that the Carnage symbiote? Because like the Venom said that was his child. Was it just a random symbiote? We don't know. It's just a symbiote.
Yeah.
And
I don't even know if it's dead or just like unconscious.
I suppose.
And here's the other thing. I forgot to mention to all our viewers out there. So at the end, when Eddie is screaming in anger at Cletus and he doesn't want to kill his son, he shouts it out. And when he kills Cletus, Dylan's just there in shock. And then at the end of the issue, he goes like, "You're my dad?" And then
now
that seemed like a comedy kind of ending, which I don't know. Like
I thought
you're my dad, and then you hear like the sound effect, zoop zoop whoop 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 whoop.
Now before we go on here, I need to mention today's giveaway keyword is son, as in Dylan is Eddie's son. So everyone who's listening in, you'll want to remember that for the drawing.
S-U-N, right?
Son.
S-U-N.
S-O-N.
Yep. Spell it wrong. Just say S-U-N. You get more prizes.
But yeah, I liked the ending myself with the whole those panels with Dylan and Eddie and him coming to that realization. It's like, I liked that. I actually liked that ending. Even though I know this was supposed to be Carnage's big event and we were supposed to end on Carnage, it also is just a continuation of the Venom series. And this event was originally not an event, but an arc in the Venom series. So it makes sense to me that it would end this way.
You know what? Maybe if it was an arc, Cletus would still be alive. So
He did, boy. He did.
Yeah.
If you really wanted to, if you haven't read Absolute Carnage at all, you can still treat Absolute Carnage as just the next arc of Venom. You don't have to read any of the tie-ins. Just, treat Absolute Carnage as the arc after number 17, I want to say. Yes, 17. No.
And guess what? You don't have to read any of the tie-ins because they don't mean anything.
Yep.
I will say that Space Cowboy brings up a point we haven't brought up yet. I did like how Spidey and Eddie ended off there at the end. They're basically fully truce now. They're like, we're good. Like they're hugging and everything.
Best buds.
Not friends yet. They didn't say friends.
Whatever they are.
Whatever they are. They're good.
But Eddie deep down, he's like, Peter, I know I'm better than you. You know it.
Now,
I think the thing with Eddie is that Eddie knows he's not better than Peter. I think that's the thing, like as a person.
Now, I wanted to discuss 2 points that kind of drew me out of this. 2 negatives. The first being the inconsistency of Carnage's power level. We see him in the last issue take out the Immortal Hulk with relative ease. But then we see Eddie take out Carnage with, again, relative ease with just a freaking sword.
Because he wants Eddie to kill him.
Well, that and he got the combined codices that he formed in the Venom suit. So.
Okay, I'll give you that much.
Yeah,
now, the second thing I didn't like was how we kind of glossed over what exactly happened to the Grendel symbiote and whatever else Carnage was wearing.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say that because he literally, when he ripped it off him and killed him, I'm like, okay, so he completed the hive mind, the connection to Null for him waking up. So does Eddie have the Grendel symbiote with the Venom symbiote?
Speculation time. All right, I just thought of this now. What if that's what Venom's Island about? What if he's like, I gotta go get rid of this shit. I gotta go, and so he goes to the island. He's just like, all right, get off me, and then he goes onto all the animals. He's like, oh shit, like what did I just do?
That would be very comedic and bad.
like maybe he goes to the island because he wants to be remote as he tries to kill whatever he's carrying, and doesn't go right. And yeah, like you said, it kind of expands and does a dread face and takes over animals.
Well, I'm trying to find those 2 preview pages we got. If I recall, they're just images of Eddie in a bed, and then he's like sunk into the ground, and he's saying Null. I'm trying to find those again, but yeah, I mean,
yeah, that's another thing that, or whatever.
Right?
He's got dreams of killing.
Yeah, right. And we didn't really see any kind of build up for Venom Island, which I guess you can see as a good thing and a bad thing. But this issue wasted 2 whole pages on a stupid splash page that said Absolute Carnage. We could have got more details on that.
I mean, or they could have put the end, but yeah, whatever. The
end, smiley face.
Now, there's also another thing. I think there was a missed opportunity to promote the Scream Curse of Carnage series with the end of...
I mean, she was in there for one tiny little panel.
No, I mean...
if that's not promotion, I don't know what is.
It's already called Curse of Carnage anyway, so...
Yeah. No, but what I'm talking about is the fact that this character, Big Mother, who's supposed to be Grendel's mother, will be the main villain of at least the first arc of the Scream series. And if this Big Mother is supposed to have any tie to our symbiotic Grendel, this would have been a perfect opportunity for just like a little tease or something of Big Mother arriving or something, and then that would have a little box saying "To be continued in Scream Curse of Carnage."
I'm pretty sure that Venom 20 will hit on all of the friends showing up and doing all that.
Yeah, I think,
and that's what I think.
Because we even got some of that in the Venom 19, I think, or 18 or 19. It showed showed even Coelho's version of the prison breakout or whatever, and it showed Venom and Spidey a big fight scene with them. But I think we'll probably get that.
Yeah.
Again.
So it also, since it's called Curse of Carnage, maybe I'm starting to think, is she trying to stop people from resurrecting Carnage? Maybe. Why would they call it Carnage if it doesn't have anything to do with him? So maybe, maybe there's a chance.
The solicits have said she's the remnants of Carnage's attack or whatever, hasn't it?
Well, yeah, but why would we have a full entire series called that if it's not going to focus on Carnage?
See?
I mean, I don't know.
I think so to see what happens in that series, but
overall, and I think we would all say just overall, like you said, that we're just kind of mad that it asks more questions than it does provide answers. So
I was just going to say that overall, I still did enjoy it. I would not call this a bad issue.
Right.
It doesn't live up to the promise of the first issue. I don't personally. I know some people would say disappointing. I don't think it is disappointing. I like how it ended between Eddie and Cletus and Dylan. Sure, I would have liked Cletus to hang around or escape somehow, like Carnage always does, or at least get locked up as still partially decaying skeleton or something. Maybe he's alive, but overall, I did enjoy it. Oh,
yeah. I mean, I did enjoy it. The artwork was great, but again, it had flaws. But it wasn't on the level of Venomverse or Venomize or anything like that. again, there was flaws, but again, I really enjoyed the issue, and I loved how Dylan finally figured out that Eddie's his father, and now I'm just looking forward to issue of Venom number 20 next Wednesday. So yeah.
I think as a whole, I still think this is probably one of my favorite Marvel events.
Yeah.
Like if you the whole thing together.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Definitely, it's I think it's the best Carnage symbiote event since Maximum Carnage.
That's not really saying much, but okay.
I was going to say, I absolutely like this better than Maximum Carnage.
But yes, I would say overall, I was really hyped for this. I'm kind of disappointed in the whole thing, but, I can complain since I bought like maybe 5 variants of each issue, so, whatever.
Is that the only reason you got to complain?
And I also bought it online every Wednesday at 1 a.m. to read it, so I bought these issues I bought these issues like over 10 times each maybe. But yeah, I just think I would have preferred this to have some more focus on Carnage as a character and his relationship to Eddie. Like all the things we said would have been cool. Norman, like I don't know, like he turns on him, or like they fight in space. There's just all these cool things, and it just kind of got us overhyped about it. And I should have just known, hey, this isn't going to be a huge deal. At the end, they're just probably going to wake up Nolan, like that'll be it. And you know what? That's what turned out to be happening. And I don't know. I don't like changes if I don't like it. So
it is kind of weird that to wake up Null was just the mission, because I remember in Silver Surfer Black, didn't like Silver Surfer say like, "Oh, I ran into this planet one time and I saw Null," and like Null looked pretty awake, just being held down by the symbiotes.
Maybe. Who knows?
I think that was.
I just wish this focused. Yeah.
I think that was before the symbiotes imprisoned him, but whatever.
Yeah. I just wish we had more focus on Cletus as a character, especially if he's actually going to be, actually dead, because there wasn't a whole lot of him, and if he's actually dead, it's like he kind of went off with a whimper, just waking up this other more eviler dude. But that's just me.
Also, I kind of noticed in the issue that there were some panels where Ryan forgot to draw the dragon logo on Cletus.
That's fine.
That's a consistent issue.
So rip in peace, Space Knights. Just
yeah.
Not really.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's a good area to just end today's episode. So, while the main event series has come to a close, Absolute Carnage is not quite done yet. Tune in next week as we review the final Absolute Carnage tie-in, Venom number 20. You can listen to We Are Venomaniacs on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Music and iTunes, Google Play Music, and YouTube. We can also be found on Twitter at WAV_podcast. Check out our Discord server and become a member of the audience during our next live recording of We Are Venomaniacs. Join us, won't you? As always, thanks to my fellow co-hosts, Carlos.
Thanks for listening again, guys. We appreciate it.
Tyler.
It's been a blast.
And Aaron.
#bring back Cletus 2020.
And thanks to the Venom site for permitting us to make this podcast under the TVS banner and all of your generous support. And finally, thank you, loyal listeners and fellow Venomaniacs. You guys make an awesome community, and it's an honor to be your voice on the airwaves. Together, we are Venomaniacs. And now, a word from one of our partners at The Collective, a network of superhero podcasts.
Hi, this is Dave.
And I'm Stu, and we're from the Signal of Doom.
We're proud members of The Collective, and you're listening to Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast.